Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. The final countdown is on to the Book of Boba Fett as the brand new Disney Plus series is set to premiere later next week. Now, in order to prepare, we here at Lunar Squadron thought it would be nice to sit down and create a brand new series of videos profiling important characters that may or are rumored to appear in the upcoming series. Now, these videos will include fun facts about the characters, but more importantly, their relation to Boba Fett, as this is all about Boba Fett after all. Now, to kick this series off, we are going to be starting with the famed Trandoshan Bounty Hunter himself, Bossk. But before we jump into this video, we have a brief message from the man of the hour, Bossk himself. Bossk, aren't you excited? It's your time to shine, man. Why don't you tell all the wonderful people how they can get involved and enlist in the Lunar Squadron?
I shall make you a trophy for my ship.
Thanks, Bossk. What a guy. Now let's get into this video. It's all about you, bud.
Alright, so as I stated in the intro, this series of videos will be comprised of fun facts about the characters, and then we will shift into the relation this character has with Boba Fett going into the Book of Boba Fett. So Andreas, why don't you get us started and kick us off with some fun facts about Bossk that we found out?
For sure. So I think the first thing that we really need to get into about Bossk is actually his name. For those of you who did not know, Bosk's full name is actually Bossk Wasak Krodosk. Bossk Wasak Krodosk. I had no idea this was the case. His name actually has that last name in it. Krodosk is actually the name of his dad, Krodosk, who also was a Trandoshan Bounty Hunter. As you guys know, Bossk is a Trandoshan from, you guessed it, the planet Trandosha. Now, the Trandoshans, evidently Bossk, are a particularly cutthroat people. Bossk, immediately after hatching, yes, they do hatch from eggs, he actually devoured all of the other eggs in the nest where he hatched. So all of his siblings he killed before he even met them, or so he thought. Actually, there was one egg, a lone survivor from the Bossk massacre, who was his sister. Now, this sole survivor ended up being, this last egg ended up being taken and given to the Wookiees, which is actually incredibly interesting because Bossk, as you guys do know, has a relationship that is quite antagonistic against the Wookiees because his dad, Krodosk, and the Trandoshan people had a history of hunting Wookiees, but his sister's survived egg was actually passed on to a Wookiee who actually went on to raise Bosk's sister. So there's a cool dichotomy between Bossk, who hates and kills Wookiees, and his sister, who was a Wookiee liberator and was actually known as the Chainbreaker for liberating Wookiees who were enslaved by the Empire, which is actually one of the reasons why Bossk was at one point set after to kill his sister when there was a bounty put on her head for messing with the Empire. So very cool dichotomy there.
Yeah, I only have really 3 things to say about that whole series of facts. 1, wow, Bossk, that's really messed up, bro. Like, that's not cool. 2, you called it the Bossk Massacre, which reminded me of the Boston Massacre, so that was an interesting little historical relation I had. And 3, I'm just, Bossk, that's messed up, man. Like, come on. How are you trying to kill your own siblings? But anyway, that's besides the point. So, Bossk quickly established himself in the bounty hunting trade, gaining quite big notoriety in the galaxy. He became known for his wide skills at tracking and capturing, and he was even really good at blackmailing the enemies of crime lords that he worked for and tyrants across the galaxy. And he was an exceptionally skilled hunter of Wookiees, which, if you listen to anything Andreas just mentioned, is not surprising at all, as Bossk absolutely hated Wookiees, so it would make sense that he would position himself to be extremely talented at hunting them. It just makes a ton of sense. Now, Andreas, those were some great fun facts about Bossk, but I think now is the time that we really take a deep dive into how Bossk is related to Boba Fett, because I got to be honest with all of you, there is a lot of really cool and interesting stuff here going on in the relationship between Bossk and Boba Fett. Now, we are going to start it all the way back at the beginning, back in the Clone Wars, where Boba Fett and Bossk meet for the first time. In fact, Boba was taken in by Jango Fett's former associate, Aurora Singh. You all know who that is. And she, along with Bossk, actually mentored Boba Fett. So Bossk is actually credited with being one of the people who trained Boba Fett to become the bounty hunter he is. In fact, Lando himself has a quote where he says, "And that scaly horror is Bossk. He's the worst of the worst. I heard he trained Boba Fett himself." That is coming from Lando himself, which is a really cool quote. Now, what exactly was Bossk and Boba Fett doing together early on during the Clone Wars? Actually, Boba Fett and Bossk were working together to take down Mace Windu as revenge for Mace Windu killing Boba Fett's father, Jango Fett. Now, if any of you have seen the Clone Wars, you will have seen this all go down, as Bossk returned to Slave One with hostages that they had captured after they had infiltrated Mace Windu's Venator, and they watched from afar as Mace Windu and his fellow Jedi, Anakin Skywalker, actually entered the wreckage that they had booby-trapped to blow upon entering the bridge by using Jango Fett's helmet, which is, again, just another messed up thing that Bossk was a part of. The cool thing about this, Andreas, is the fact that because Bossk and Anakin Skywalker are here at the same place, that means that Empire Strikes Back is not actually the first time that Darth Vader / Anakin crosses paths with Bossk, which is pretty cool. Now, what happened after this whole little event where Bossk and Boba tried to kill Mace Windu?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, Nick, Boba Fett and Bossk really did have this foundational, amicable relationship whereby, just like you said, Bossk kind of took Boba Fett under his wing after Mace Windu killed his father. He even helped him, get revenge and all of that. But where we actually leave off between Bossk and Boba Fett is actually quite the sour note. I'm going to go ahead and issue a spoiler warning for those of you who are interested in reading any of the Star Wars comics. If you haven't read Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, the last edition did come out just this October of 2021, so just a couple months ago. So if you guys were planning on reading that, I'm going to issue a spoiler warning right now. But basically, in this comic series, Boba Fett, when he is trying to deliver Han Solo frozen in carbonite to Tatooine and Jabba on Tatooine, he goes on this long wild goose chase where he ends up losing Han Solo frozen in carbonite, and then he is attacked by all sorts of people, including Forlom, Zuckuss, yeah, you heard that right, Zuckuss, and Crimson Dawn. Now, at one point when Boba Fett is trying to get back Han Solo frozen in carbonite, I guess Jabba catches wind that Boba had lost possession of Solo frozen in carbonite and gets the impression that Boba Fett is trying to cross him over. Jabba actually ends up sending Bossk to go kill Boba Fett, and Boba and Bossk have a quite deadly encounter where Bossk actually ends up getting his legs blown off by Boba Fett. Boba Fett leaves Bossk out in the cold to die. Bossk says, "You can't leave me out in the cold. I'm cold-blooded. I'm going to die." And Boba Fett responds with the most metal answer ever. He says, "Funny thing about that is, Bossk, I'm also cold-blooded." He says, "So am I." So the last point where Bossk actually leaves off with Boba Fett is where Boba Fett has left him for dead. So I guess to answer the question that we posed at the beginning, do we think Bossk is going to be in the Book of Boba Fett? if he is, I think we can expect him to be quite antagonistic. Is that fair to say, Nick?
Yeah, it's really interesting when you think about it, because the way their relationship just, it kind of has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, because when they were taken prisoner after they tried to kill Mace Windu, Bossk took Boba Fett under his wing because he saw all the potential. In fact, they started a clan together. They traveled to the Outer Rim after they got out of prison, and they formed a bounty hunting posse that they called the Crate's Crew. They were a team. The cool thing about this team is that actually Dengar was a part of the team, which is a cool little fun fact, which just another one of those bounty hunters from the Empire Strikes Back bridge scene. But to get back to the point, they were a team, and then to see their relationship just dissolve into this pure chaos and them hating each other, it really is going to be interesting if Bossk shows up in the Book of Boba Fett to see exactly what is going to happen. Is this going to be a very animosity-filled relationship, or are they going to be able to reconcile and work together once again? Honestly, this sets up a lot of interesting stakes for this show going into it, because while Boba Fett has proven to be extremely violent and vengeful in his past, it really does appear from these previews going into the Book of Boba Fett that he is, I don't know if I want to say changing his ways, but he's intending to go about things in a different way, as he says so himself in the trailers of the show. So I don't know, Andreas, this is setting up some very interesting stuff if Bossk does indeed show up in the Book of Boba Fett, just to see how their relationship plays out in this show.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen from the trailers that there are a few, shall I say, curious Trandoshans seated at the table. Are one of them related to Bossk, or is it possible that one of these is Bossk? A lot of people are kind of weighing in on this discussion one way or the other. As you said, rumors floating around that he might be in the show. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. Will Bossk actually end up appearing in the Book of Boba Fett? If so, in what capacity? Do you think he's going to be coming in for a hug, saying, nice to see you again, Boba? Or is it going to be, a fight where he comes in trying to kill Boba for leaving him for dead? I could totally see it being a situation where, he comes at Boba aggressively, kind of trying to get back at him, and then they kind of sort of, shake hands, shake off the dust, and kind of agree to be friends again. Who knows what will happen? Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think on this. Either way, guys, we will be chugging along in this series, giving more context as to other bounty hunters that will possibly appear in the Book of Boba Fett as we keep on marching towards that date, December 29th, that Nick and I are looking forward to so very much. That's going to do it for this discussion, but thank you all so much for watching. Please do consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you all next time.